I want to talk to you about a book I just finished. For me, this is a must read, and especially if you're a woman, I think it's the next book that you need to buy. It's called What's Up Down There? Questions You'd Only Ask Your Gynecologist If She Were Your Best Friend by Dr. Lissa Rankin. This is what it looks like. This is how a lot of the pages look in the book for me. You see how the red squiggles, or like this part, you see the arrows like this, so important. A lot of the parts in this book are like that because it was so amazing. Look at this. Yeah. Okay, so someone asked me, why do I need to read this book? And even though I've typed up a response on that I'm going to put on Amazon, I wanted to just answer them, like, you know, from my heart of why I thought this was so important. And I realized I need to do a video on it too. Dr. Rankin, thank you. So here's some of the reasons why I think you need to read this book. 1. This book is empowering and encouraging. Yes, it's obvious what the book is about, gynecology. You know, you have your chapters on orgasms, on vaginas, on pregnancy, on breast, on urination. These unpopular topics or whatever. But aside from those topics, between the lines, there is so much encouragement and empowerment about knowing who you are, about being educated and making informed decisions. Even the chapters, I remember there was this chapter that was about childbirth. I don't plan on ever having kids, but there was this one part, let me find the sentence. So even though it's on childbirth, here's a part. It says, the sooner you can process the change in your life, the sooner you will thrive. Like, it doesn't matter what that's about. That's just an important chunk of advice for any area of your life, because change happens every day. So being adaptable and being flexible, that's, again, just great advice. So that's one thing I loved about this book, that yes, it has a specific subject matter, but even if you blanked out all those words about vaginas and sex and your body, almost every other sentence is something that you could apply to every area of your life. Another thing that I appreciated about this book was her sense of humor. She's very witty, very charming. She has all different types of humor. Some of it's a little vulgar, some of it's kind of old school, some is like tongue-in-cheek, and there were just times where I was reading this book and I burst out laughing out loud. I don't do that often. Like, there's only one comedian that makes me laugh out loud, and this, I would be reading it and then I was like, no, she didn't. Like, I couldn't believe it. Another thing I enjoyed about this book, it's set up in a question and answer format. Let's see some questions. Have you ever heard of a gynecologist finding something weird stuck up a woman's vagina? Can abortions cause infertility? How do I know if I'm in menopause? As I get older, my libido just isn't what it used to be. Why is that? So all these different questions in this book. I like that. You know, there's some questions I have that relate to my body or sexuality or my health that I don't ask out loud because I'm like, that's inappropriate, or what if I'm the only one, or is that weird? And some of those questions were in this book, and I'm like, great, someone else asked them. No, I don't have to say it. But then there were things I hadn't even thought of before, where I'm like, huh, I wouldn't have even thought to ask that question, but I'm glad someone else did, because now I know. And the more you know, the more you grow. PSA. I also like that this is just another platform talking about those hush-hush topics. I don't think that vaginas should be the secret. Yes, it's a sacred, mysterious thing, and you should be selective and selfish in who you choose to share that part of yourself with. But aside from that, it's your body, and it shouldn't be some deep, dark, scary secret. We should be able to talk about these things. At least I believe. I say should, but I just would hope that we could have open dialogue about issues of health and sexuality. And we're never really given a lot of platforms in that sense. So any book out there that's giving you that information with, references to research and facts is great. Plus, she's a doctor anyway, so it's not just like a woman telling her opinion, which, hey, I like hearing people's opinions, but it's also backed by years of experience in the field. Why else do I think you should read this book? Well, I like her tone. It's gracious. It's sweet. It's engaging. Like, I found this book completely engaging for me. And she, every author has a voice, and I like her voice. Like, I like what she has to say. Her opinions are interesting. Her experiences are varied, and it's refreshing and enlightening. I use lots of E's. It's empowering, engaging, it's educational, enlightening, it's encouraging. Like, this book is really good. And even though this is the cover, and despite what one critic said, I still read this book on a crowded train. I did. I felt no shame in it. I don't feel any shame in my body or wanting to know more about it. So I read this on a crowded train, and I was hoping someone saw it. I was hoping that maybe someone sitting next to me was being nosy and reading that page too, because maybe they learned a thing about their body they never knew before. And even if, there are tons of books that deal with health and women issues and things like that. So and of course you could go and Google these terms, but what sets her apart, I think, is her honesty, her rawness, her realness, but then her sweetness and her message to thrive and to know who you are and to love who you are, every bit of it. So this is just a little plug. I wasn't asked to do this, but if you follow any of my videos, you know that if I like something, I'm going to tell you about it, whether it's a product or a book or anything. And this was refreshing for me. I come from a very sheltered and religious background, and so issues of sexuality, they were kind of hush-hush. You weren't allowed to really talk about them or explore them or question them, even at the expense of being aware and knowledgeable about your health. So to be able to find a book that talks in a voice that's engaging and asks questions that I've had or hadn't even thought of, I enjoyed it. So read the book. Get it. Now, I'm lucky enough to have a signed copy. But even if you can't get a signed copy, order this. What's my critique? I don't appreciate that there's not a version yet for kids. Which, I mean, that's not even a critique, because I hear she may even do one. Because I would love to give this to, like, a version of this to my 16-year-old sister or to my 11-year-old sister, because I want them to know. I don't want them to be 20 and just learning about the name of the various parts of their vagina. That's important to know, like, the name of it. And if you follow my blog or read my videos, you know that one thing in my past is that I'm a survivor and a thriver of sexual abuse. And it was a secret for many years. And thank God for healing and evolution and progress. But I had this one quote where I was talking about how, because of how I was raised, we weren't even allowed to say the words like vagina. So how could I have even told the people around me what was going on, this abuse that was happening, if I couldn't even name just the regular terms of my body? Like, how could I say this man is touching me inappropriately if I don't even know what this is? So it's important to be informed, and this book informs you. Get the freaking book today.